And
That is a
everything
dark
else?
place to go to. I don't like to use the word try a lot because I think try is like a bad word. I think, we do it or we don't do it. But I always try my hardest to keep to a very regimented morning schedule because if I can get my morning right, everything else falls into place. So like today's a pretty good morning for me in that I got all my things done that needed to get done. I got my prospecting done that I had scheduled, and I have 2 appointments for later today, and I, made appointments for later in the week. So on Mondays, I'm always working to book appointments to fill the rest of the week.
Awesome. And you mentioned your prospecting. How much time are you spending?
So I don't necessarily use time because my goal is, and that's not necessarily the right answer for everyone. I think some people hear that as an excuse not to do a certain amount of time. I need to make a certain number of appointments. So my Monday goal, my Monday exit is, have I filled my week with appointments? So at this point, I'm pretty stacked up with appointments for the week.
Awesome.
And that's always my goal. And, I think everyone has to find their own, but I think people will try to find ways to, I don't have to do a certain amount of time. I'll just make appointments. Okay, fine. Make good appointments. Sure. But it will probably also take some time to do that. At the same time, don't just prospect for 3 hours to prospect for 3 hours. You have to have a goal and a purpose and a result from it.
Most definitely. So then going a little bit deeper in, so what is your lead generation strategy? Obviously to set a certain number of appointments such that you have them to go on to get those listings. So what does it look like? Who are you calling?
So I'm calling past clients, and I've been doing this for 18 years. So I have a lot of repeat and referral business. And so a lot of what I'm doing is selling a house I sold to someone 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 years ago, and then helping them find a new house or taking a referral from them and, either sell, a list and buy or a buy or whatever it is. So I'm calling a pretty warm database of people generally that have previous experience with me. So it's a lot easier, granted, than for most people, or even for me 5 or 10 years ago. It's a lot easier. It gets easier over time because it's an easier call to say, I sold your house before. You have any questions about it? Okay, you want to sell it and buy a new one? Easy. Before, originally, or what my newer agents are doing on my team is, I understand the topic of the call here is listings, but I don't think that there's a really good, direct line to, I'm going to leave this call and have an activity that generates a listing. I think the real answer is, well, go sell whatever you can. If it's a buyer, if it's a seller. I have an agent on my team who's done 125 leases in the last 2.5 years. Go out there and do business. And then when you do business, you attract other business. So the agent that did all the leases, she gets buyers and sellers from that business, right? If you go out in 2008, I did 51 buyer deals. I don't know I did any seller deals, maybe a few. Maybe I did 46 buyers and 5 sellers. But I can tell you last year, I listed 3 of those homes, of those 46 or whatever, let's say. So if you want listings, you're going to have to ultimately I think the easiest pathway is to be a buyer's agent, build up a database of people that own homes, and then work that for the rest of your career. If you're not currently farming, I don't think that, geographic farm is financially or otherwise viable for most people. Sorry.
Hey, we want to hear everyone's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has their own magic.
This is actually the correct answer. It's not my perspective.
Right. So going back to your lead generation strategy, and you said you're making most of the calls, which are warm, or your past clients, how are you getting them to say, yes, I do want to sell my house that you sold me a few years ago, but there's no inventory out there. How could I possibly?
I don't get them to do anything. I just give them information and they tell me, if they want to buy or sell, right? Colleen, you own a home?
I do.
Are you going to sell your home this year?
I wasn't thinking about it.
So there's nothing I'm going to do that's going to make you want to sell your home, right?
Sure.
So this is a common question I get on these types of environments. I'm not going to sell you on selling your home. You don't want to sell your home, okay? It's not a problem. Here's some information about the marketplace. Here's what the comps are. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's a funny anecdote. can I call you in a few months and give you another update? And
Of
then I call
course.
you in a few months and, you've gotten a job transfer, right? Well, I got to sell my house now, right? You weren't planning that, but this is the reality of where do our sales come from? Where do our listings come from? It's people like you who are never planning on selling, right? And then something changes in their life and now they're going to sell.
Mhm.
You're getting called up to Austin. You got to move to Austin next month. Okay, well, maybe you're a seller now.
Most
And then I just have to
definitely.
give you information about what's out there in the marketplace. So I've never convinced anyone to buy or sell a home, a primary residence, at least, maybe an investment property, but never a primary residence. It's like, you got to either want it or not.
Sure. And then any scripts that you're using to get appointments set, what's working for you?
I keep all my scripting very simple because I don't want to sound like a car salesman. And so, if you said, oh, I'm getting transferred or I might be getting transferred, I may need to sell the house in the next 6 months. I say, great. You want me to come over and talk to you about what we can do to increase the value of your home before then? And who's going to say no to that? Right. So
Definitely.
as soon as there's an interest in selling, I immediately close for an appointment because whether it's tomorrow or in a year, I want to be top of mind, first in line to list your house. So if you want to sell tomorrow, great. I need to come talk to you right away. What time is better? Tonight at 5 or tomorrow afternoon or whatever it is. And otherwise, if you're like, I'm going to sell, getting transferred this summer and, I'll have to sell the house the next 3 to 6 months. I say, you know what? Why don't I come over now? I can give you an idea of the value of your home. I can talk about the sales strategy. Most importantly, Colleen, what I want to do is show you a few things we can do now to start working on to start getting the value of your home up. Is that okay with you? And so I come over now and, maybe it's 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, or maybe it gets moved up and you're like, you know what? The market's really hot. Rates are concerning me. Everything happening in the world's concerning me. I actually just want to sell it now, take my cash off the table and just, walk away from any risk. Okay, great. Let's do it. I'm not going to tell you about interest rates or like, oh, you have to sell today interest rates. Like, here's the information. You tell me what you want to do.
Absolutely.
And then, set a meeting, you go talk to people, just give them information. Sorry, I know you wanted like a really
no, I don't.
script.
I want to hear. We want to hear how our top agents are succeeding, and there isn't right. It's really clear that it's really going back to the basics. So I just want to go back to what you mentioned. Your database is warm, and you're making calls. So how often do you call? Well, first, how many are in your database?
My personal database, 105 people.
105 people. That's all.
Yeah.
And how many transactions do you get annually from that 105?
I move people in and out of it because people will come to me or I'll get referrals from there, or people will call me from, they might know me and I'm not prospecting them. So that it's not like a truly accurate picture, but I probably personally did about, 30 deals last year. And then my whole team is like, the ratios are way different. We brought in maybe 4,000 new leads last year or 5,000 new leads last year. We did 225 deals. So it's not, and probably half of those were not, from prior years databases. So it's a pretty low conversion game. Yeah, right now we're bringing in about, I would say, this year we'll bring in about 5,000 leads, probably new leads. Last year was probably like 3,500, 4,000. And if we can sell 300 out of those, it'd be great.
Most definitely. And what is the lead source for this 3,500 last year and the potential of 5,000 this year?
We have a variety, I don't like to be tied down to one thing because I have 20 something agents on the team I have to feed. So I can't be locked into one source. So a lot of it comes from prospecting to our database for repeat and referrals. We had a lot of referral business. And a lot of it comes through our listings. So, when you have listings, you get leads. So we have our website, we have some other advertising up. We have some referral vendors. And the biggest driver in number of leads is Zillow Flex. So we're Flex agents. But other than that, it's a pretty wide variety of sources just because they, open houses disappeared for 18 months, right? And even today, I don't find open houses to be very, in our market, we're not getting huge results at open houses, so we can't rely on open houses as a lead source right now. That might change in a year or it might not. So we just have to be flexible. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you're prospecting if you're calling your database, if you're calling the people that you know, you'll be fine. It doesn't matter how you define it or categorize it. If you don't have people to call, you're not from Los Angeles, or I'm sorry, where are people on this call from? I should have
We're in
looked in
North
advance.
Orange County.
Okay. If you're not from North Orange County, right, or if you're not been there a while, it's going to be tougher because a lot of the business we do is like people we know. And so you've got to join social groups and be involved and, with your spouse or with your kids, the same thing, generate leads off of your interest and their interests. Otherwise, you've got to find a team in your market center that can produce those leads for you. I think it's very hard to come into a market cold, especially a high price point competitive market like we're in Southern California. In our team, probably 3 or 4 of the 22-ish agents I have are from LA. Like they're mostly from other places or other countries, and it's just too long of an uphill climb to generate a massive database quickly enough. So the team solves that for them.
Mhm.
But the ones who do really well are the ones who combine the team with their own database. They get leads from their kids' sports programs, from their husband's work friends, from their social groups, right? Or their previous colleagues, their previous coworkers, that type of thing.
Most definitely, most definitely. And then going back to the lead generation and the prospecting, are you strictly making phone calls? Are you doing any sort of mailing? What else?
We do mostly phone calls. I like to be really clear with my team members that anytime you're not using the phone or anytime you're trying to do something else, you're making an excuse not to prospect, right? I do encourage my team to rotate. So if we're calling people one week, we can text them the next week, we can email them, but ultimately calling is going to be the driver of business. At least in of finding someone to getting them to pick up the phone is going to be a phone call, unless they start texting you. I'm just trying to make the point that yes, texting is a very viable, useful source of prospecting, but it's not an excuse not to pick up the phone, right? If you call someone 3 times, they text you back and you have a text conversation, great. I would still want that to be converted to a phone call and or a direct face-to-face buyer meeting. After that, if they want to text, that's fine. I have clients that only email. I have clients that only text. If you've heard me speak before, I've talked about, I have this one guy who's he was probably 25 at the time. He's older now, but I sold him a house when he was 25 and we did the whole transaction over Facebook Messenger. It was just very odd. He still Facebook messages me and I call him back because I just I can't have a Facebook message business conversation. It's I don't check it just email me. You know what I mean? So find people where they are, communicate with them on the platform that they're on, but everything that's not a phone call is cheating yourself.
Mm-hmm. How do you encourage members of your team who may not want to lead generate on the phone? How do you change that mindset?
We use a system of physical punishment that's been drafted by our office. So we start with hitting them, and then we have little electric currents in the chairs that kind of do a little zap, and it works great. Next question.
That can't be true.
I once made people do push-ups, and then Marty, Marty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marty heard about it and told me we couldn't make people do push-ups.
Correct.
I didn't know. Much like sellers, I think one of the things that took me a long time to learn is that if you're on my team, Colleen, which by the way, I would definitely consider hiring you if you're interested, you're going to do what you want to do, right? If I said, Colleen, you have to make 100 contacts this week, you would do it this week, right? And you might do it next week, but whether or not you do it the 3rd week and the 19th week is solely dependent on how you're wired. Right now, I can create a framework of success. I can say, hey, look at Mark. He's doing the XYZ and getting ABC results, and he has a similar background to you. You guys were both, car salesmen before, or whatever, right? He's not any better or different than you. So there's a model of what you can do. Or I can remind you, hey, our top agents seem to be making about 125 contacts a week. If you want those, we can coach you and we can motivate you and encourage you. Well, not really motivate, but we can really show you the way. And if you're wired a certain way, you're going to do it, right? I had a guy join the team years back. He was a private chef, had no, work experience, other than cooking food for people, which I'm not saying is not work experience, but had not used a computer at work, had not prospected on the phone, did not even use the phone in his regular course of business. And just the first day, just came in before any of us and stayed after all of us. And he was like that for years. And we'll say, okay, he was just built that way. and there's nothing that we did to make him. Now we gave him the sales skills and the leads and the business framework to operate within that. But at the end of the day, your salespeople on your team, your paid staff are who they are, and they're not going to change their way.
Most definitely. And then, are you finding listings in a different way? Like we had Gene Rivers on, and he shared how he was
he's good.
encouraging, right, prospecting to attorneys, to CPAs. Are you doing any of that?
We don't, I mean, that's probably a good idea. We don't, like, we find that we have enough business that we're not doing that, but like, I don't mind. I mean, to me, that's just prospecting, right? That's like almost like the Chris Heller and the phone book stories, right? It's like, well, I don't know, like I have an attorney I've used and he sends me some referrals. And so he's a friend, but I also work him for referrals. My CPA only does real estate people. I do not get referrals from him. Like all of his other clients are me. So it's not gonna, so, all of our vendors we lean on to get referrals, and it's hard. But I think that's a good plan. I don't think that's something to turn around immediately. I don't think that like if you called every CPA in North Orange County that you're going to get a deal tomorrow. You might build some relationships, but it's no different than any other thing. It's finding people, calling them, building relationship, and then being there when there's business to be had.
Mm-hmm. And really, you're telling us what we need to hear. It's prospect, and contact everyone that, right, you should be calling. Yeah. And there's no magic trick. Hold on, there's this weird thing.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I didn't even know I had a phone back there. So let's going back to a listing appointment. What does a listing appointment look like? Do you do?
Did you like my display name?
Yes, with the C. I know. So if anyone, Richard Shulman with the C. What does a listing appointment look like? Do you do any sort of give them a pre-listing packet to review prior to your appointment, or do you do it all in that one appointment?
No. Well, let's break it up into. I would send a pre-listing packet no matter what, but I try to have a good pre-listing phone call. So if you told me you wanted to sell your home, I'd want to get some notes from you about what that looked like before I went out there to meet you, because I don't want to go into a sales presentation cold. I want to know, what's the story, who am I competing against, if I am, like, what's the parameters of our interaction here. It's like, I'll give you, like, I haven't really dated in quite a while, but like, if you go on a date, you want to know some things about the person first, right? You want to know what you're working with, decide if it's a match type of thing. Maybe that's not a good analogy, but it's the first thing that popped in my head. But like, I don't want to just like go and meet someone with no context other than they want to sell, because I don't know what to be prepared for, what to talk about. If you said, I want to hire you, Richard, but I'm also interviewing, this guy, and he's the neighborhood expert, and you're, I'm in Hollywood Hills, and he's the Hollywood Hills guy, and you're in Santa Monica. I need to know that going in so I can prepare, right? So I want to have a good pre-listing interaction. We have a nice packet we've prepared that we mail out ahead of time. I don't know if it helps or not, but we do it. And then we go in for a listing presentation, but it's more of, I learned this from Rob Eigner. It's not a sales pitch. It's a friendship building. Actually, another guy, I don't know if you know Mike Nicola in Ohio. You should have him on. He's really good. But he told me that they look at listing a house as, I'm going to meet a stranger and I'm going to walk out with the keys to the house and the alarm codes to the place where their kids sleep at night. So, it's not about going in there and saying, hey, Colleen, here are my sales stats. You already went to my website, right? You might already know me as a productive realtor, right? If you don't have a track record, then it's your team's track record or your market center's track record that you're starting with. But when they invite you into their home, they've already decided that you're at least competent to sell the house. And about 90% of people will make their decision based on how they feel about you, right? That's why you lose a listing appointment. You're not sure why, because you didn't build that rapport with them. About 10% of people, in my estimation, are really going to hammer you on details, marketing plan, blah, blah, blah. Those are just hard to win, quite honestly, because if they're going to hammer you on details, then they're probably interviewing 3 or 4 other top agents, and you're, at that point, you're a 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, 1 in 5 shot. So, and you're even money against the field. So it's like, but focus on the ones you can easily win. The ones you can win are where I go in, I meet you, I meet your husband, we get along. Your husband's got a Lakers jersey on the wall. We talk about how bad the Lakers are this year. You've got, music, something on the wall. Oh, you like whatever band. Cool. They're cool too, whatever, have that, friendship conversation, start talking about something that's mutual. And then all the listing stuff is like incidental.
Mhm. Then when you do send off the pre-listing packet, what is in there that may not be in your listing presentation?
I mean, really nothing. I use it as my listing booklet as well, but we didn't want to like create two different things. So it's the same information. It's just really mostly what it's it's like a magazine quality printout. It's like a $6 each to print them or something. Really, the idea is just to show them like, hey, this is the type of quality that we have. And then we go and sometimes we see other people have packets too. We're like, oh, this is great. We got to like copy some of their ideas. And then some people have like bound books and the seller's like, who's this idiot? Why is he me a bound book? Like, I'm just going to look on my phone for like details on the agent stuff. So we just feel like this 24-page magazine about our process is the right level of like, this is the level of quality that you're going to get with us. And this is who we are and what we do. If you're like an S or a C, you might read through it and find something really interesting. If you're a high D, you're going to look at the first page. It's going to say, Richard Shulman team's on $1.3 billion in sales. And you're going to like that. And we can chat and become friends and, try to walk out of there with a contract.
Awesome. Awesome. And another question, and I'm sure you're experiencing this. How are you overcoming commission discounting?
Oh, you just, whatever commission they want, just take it. Just if they want to do it 3% total, just do it. Sign it up.
I know you are.
I don't think that most people are making their decisions based on commission. I think if someone's decided to hire based on commission, they're probably not going to call me for an interview, or they'll say it on the phone, right? You'll call me, oh, Richard, I saw your website. I want to hire you to sell my house. Okay, great. We'd love to do it. Well, Redfin's doing it for 1%. Will you match them? I said, Redfin's a discount broker. If you want to hire them for 1%, it's a pretty good deal. You should do it. I'm a full service luxury broker. I do a lot more hands-on stuff than them. We charge 2.5% for our side, 2.5% for the buyer. And if that works for you, I'd be happy to come show you what we can do. But if I wouldn't hire a discount broker for myself. I'm sure you wouldn't. But if you're intent on hiring one, go hire one. Don't interview me. You're not going to win that, right? It's not worth your time, like collectively you, to like prepare for that, because if that comes up, you're not going to win. We'll focus more on how to build a relationship with people who want to hire a full service broker. Let me add something, by the way. This is going to sound condescending, and maybe it is. If you're not a good broker and you're not experienced and you don't do any of the things I've just talked about, if you sold 9 houses in your life, you're not on a team, you have no packet, you show up in like jeans and 10 minutes late to an appointment, don't be pompous and be like, oh, I deserve a full commission. You probably don't. I had a new agent on my team trying to do a $4 million deal, and the guy was, hassling him on commission. And he's like, what should I do? I said, well, he's right. You've never sold a house, and you're asking him to pay you $100,000 to sell his house. And he knows more about real estate than you. So you have to figure out a value proposition that's going to make it worth his money to pay you. I said, I'll ask you this, Colleen. What does a good attorney cost in North Orange County?
We'll say probably $350 an hour minimum.
Oof. I gotta move to North Orange County. This sounds amazing.
I don't use them often.
So let's say $400 an hour, make the math easier. $100,000 commission into 400 is like 250 hours. It's like, what would you rather hire, like not a very good real estate agent, or like a high-end attorney for an entire month? So just be like, if you want to earn a full commission, go show them that, like, go be the professional that you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is that condescending? A little bit.
No, I mean, it's truthful, right? You have to show up, you have to do your homework, and you have to look the part, right? It's your value proposition. It's also, right, how we present ourselves. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we are at our 30-minute mark. So I want to say, what are some parting words for our group of really succeeding? And you mentioned prospecting, and it's nothing, right? There's no magic wand you're using with your team.
Yeah, we just make, the number one thing we do is remember the basics. Like, this is just like the fundamentals of real estate. I interviewed a new agent today, and I'm like, I do the same thing I did 18 years ago at Prudential. Show up to the office in the morning, I make phone calls through a list, and I go meet people and help them to find the right house. It's no different, and it won't change. There's DocuSign and some other things and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's just calling people, meeting them face to face, showing them houses. And if they don't like that house, find them a better house tomorrow.
Most definitely.
Pretty straightforward.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Richard, I appreciate your time, and we wish you the best and congratulations on your success. And we're here for your North Orange County referrals as always.
Thank you. Yes, and nice to see everyone. I appreciate everyone with their video on. It was a good touch.
All right. Bye.
All right. See you, Colleen. Have a good one.
Bye. You too.